we're going to kick you in the teeth. All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
You like that? You like that?
Scott, did you come up with the correct response? Who wanted to kick that field goal?
With the second pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina.
Welcome to the NFC North podcast. Greetings from the NFC North podcast. We are only 2 days away from the season starting and 5 days away from our teams playing, and I'm constipated with excitement. I'm your resident Lions fan, Eric, and this is...
Hey, my name is Cole William Whitlaw Gibson. I'm the resident Packer fan and #1 winner of the NFC North. Everyone else loses, so go ahead, Blaze.
What's up? I'm Blaze F. Ryan, officer finisher, just like the Bears are going to do come this season. Let's get it.
Well,
actually,
how are you guys feeling?
Gerald, but...
The season is upon us.
I'm feeling great. You know what?
Feeling
football, I got that nice little taste of college football, even though my Badgers lost last week. But, whew, I mean, just those live crowds. I'm amped. I'm amped for Thursday. I'm amped for Sunday.
It's going to be so much different than last year, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I mean, I'm very excited. As I told Eric, I got, thankfully, not thankfully, but, the hurricane did happen. So the Packers game got moved to Jacksonville. Yeah. So little does Sean Payton know is I'm going to be driving my ass down there and supporting the Packers, and we're going to be making that a home game.
Damn.
But I'm pumped for it.
Apparently they booked that stadium. Part of the reason was that it's one of the most expensive places to fly to from Milwaukee and Green Bay. So it was like more expensive for Green Bay fans to fly there. Oh.
Classic Sean Payton troll right there. That is his fingerprints all over it.
Yep.
The Packers fans travel, and also, there's also talk about how Rodgers is only like 3-4 in Florida or whatever. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The Packers are gonna throttle the Saints. The Saints are still trying to figure out what they got going on. I do love Jameis though, and I'm excited to see him play as well.
Yeah. Well, let's get in this thick of it here. Let's start with the Vikings this time. We usually have been putting them last because we don't have a Vikings fan here, I guess. But I don't know. I'm interested in this game, though. So Vikings at Bengals. Just like this week, we figured out Irv Smith is going to be out the whole season instead of just 8 weeks for that meniscus surgery. And also Bengals corner Trey Waynes. He's out with a hamstring injury. So the Bengals are short at corner. And this could be a high-scoring game. Even though it is the Vikings, they, like to pound it. But, I mean, thinking about the Bengals offense, I think that this could be a shootout. What do you guys think?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Cole. You're up. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree. I think the Bengals are going to throw it. Joe Burrow loves to sling the ball. And the Vikings have a pretty good offense between Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and stuff. I think it'll be a shootout. I want it to be a shootout. I want it to be a good game. I really don't really care who wins. Like, this isn't a game that I'm like invested in on who wins. I just want it to be a good football game.
Yeah,
that's what I don't want it to be. Just a boring 10-7 game or something like that. Like, I don't want it to be a Georgia v. Clemson type game where I watch the whole thing and I'm just like, nothing happened.
Yeah. Blaze?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be a battle in the trenches at first, and then something's going to break open between either Joe Burrows is going to find, T. Higgins or what's the guy's name? Jamar Chase. They're going to get some I'm expecting Joe Mixon to have a big game. And then the opposite side of the ball, they got those weapons in Cook and Jefferson. They are without their original starting tight end. But I think this one could become a shootout really fast. I was looking at the points yesterday, and it was at -3.5 home for the Bengals. So I think Vegas likes the Bengals as well, too, right now. Look for a shootout. Look for a 28, 31, 35-point game. Or winning team gets 35, So I think it could blow open real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, they're definitely going to take advantage of this defense. I think Eli Apple is now covering either Jefferson or Thielen, and then there's some guy, he was on the Cowboys last year named Chidobe Awuzie. He was out for a lot of the year with COVID and hamstring problems, but they're thin in the secondary. I think this is going to be a shootout, but I do think that the Vikings will come out on top. I really think that the Bengals are going to have a learning curve at the start of the season. Burrow's back from an injury. Jamar Chase, also a lot of rust there. He's been, dropping a lot of passes. I'm not as worried long-term about Jamar Chase, but I think that, they're going to take a little time to actually get warmed up in this offense this season. And yeah, I'll take the Vikings, and I would say probably by a touchdown. Like I don't think it's gonna be them decimating the Bengals, but I think that it could be at least a touchdown that they win by. So
yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. I think the Vikings will probably win. I think they'll pull it out over the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the upset.
Ooh.
I think the Bengals win. Maybe I'm going to say 27-24, and this is going to go a lot back to what I'm going to say about the Lions when we talk about them. But I think with the return of Joe Burrows, I think they have a lot to prove. I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at the Vikings, and the Vikings are going to go back to old Zimmerman. They're going to run the ball a lot and try to eat up the time. But I think Joe Burrows is going to have the answer for them, especially when it comes to crunch time.
Okay.
27-24.
I mean,
I'm going to go 27-24.
That's fair. All right, well, let's move on to the Packers vs. Saints. It's in Jacksonville due to Hurricane Ida shutting down power in New Orleans, although it is they're at over 70% of power back restored in New Orleans. I'm actually going there in a few weeks, so I'm kind of excited to hear that. Either way, I'm also just happy that New Orleans is, they were more protected from this hurricane, even though they were out of power for it's been like 7 or 8 days now, so that's rough. But either way, it is in Jacksonville, like we were saying. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game, especially for the Saints. First real start for Jameis Winston. And they have a very thin wide receiver group. Michael Thomas is out, and Marquez Callaway is their number one wide receiver. And he's going to go up against Jair Alexander. And that's going to be, interesting. But also, Bakhtiari is out for the Packers, so Cam Jordan, he could have it. Yeah. He could have a huge day. And what do you think, Blaze? Let's start with you.
I think this is going to be the tone setter for the Packers. I think with their injuries at the offensive line, I think this is going to be really their chance to make a statement as an offense. This is Aaron Rodgers coming off his MVP season. He needs to prove to his office that they kept the right guy, and maybe they'll, by that logic, maybe he'll hold on for next year. This is a really big tone setting game. As much as I like famous Jameis, I think they might have arguably the worst wide receiver core right now. So it's going to be really tough to keep up with the Packers this week, especially what's essentially going to be a neutral site game. So tough for the Saints, tone center for the Packers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I obviously Packers are going to win by probably 70 points if I had to guess. But no, it's definitely going to be a very big tone setter game. The offensive line is really what I'm going to be looking for. Everything else on the Packers is, I think their secondary is going to shut down the Saints pretty easily. Jameis is going to have a very hard first game. The Saints have a terrible wide receiver core without Michael Thomas. I would not say it's the worst because, have you seen the Lions wide receiver core? That is probably the worst out there. But the Packers, they're going to go in. It's going to be a neutral site. I think the Packer fans travel. I'm going to be there. I think it'll be a very good game. I think Rodgers and all those guys are going to come out. Randall Cobb might have 4 or 5 touchdowns. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. It'll be a very good game. But again, the offensive line is really what I'm going to be focusing on how well they can handle the Saints' defensive line, and does Rodgers have good protection? Are they able to establish the run? I also want to see AJ Dillon get the ball. I want to see him be more involved now that Williams is with the Lions. I think they're going to get him involved a lot more, and he's a big dude, and I like watching him run. I think it'll be a good game, and I want to see also what they do with Randall Cobb, because again, that's a new piece. We got kind of a refreshing wide receiver core with Adams and Cobb and MVS and then Tanyan. So I'm very excited for this game.
Yeah.
I'm excited for football to be back in general. So
It's Tunyon, by the way. He went to my high school. It's Tunyon.
His name's Big Bob.
I don't know if that's some like Canadian way to pronounce it, but in Chicago we call him Tunyon.
Yeah, the Saints also released Latavius Murray, and I think there was a little contract dispute there. So Kamara is going to be getting a full workload this game, so that'll be interesting. I do think the Packers will eke it out, just because I think they have the better all-around team. But I think it's going to be like within a field goal here. Like I think the Saints are coming out with a lot to prove here, and although they have a very thin wide receiver core, their defense is still pretty damn good. And if I had to, I think that they're still going to have a good year, especially when they get their home field advantage again. I think Jameis is really going to like bring home that Saints crowd. Unluckily, they do not have that this week. So I think it'll be a closer game, even if the wide receiver core is thin for them, and I think it's going to be within a field goal, but the Packers will eke it out here.
See, I hate to say this as a Bears fan. I really do. I think this could end up being a drubbing. I'm thinking like 35-17, something like that. I think this game's going to be over by the third quarter. And it's really unfortunate because the Saints are not playing at home, and you really want that, New Orleans crowd, because it's almost like a 12th man for them. Like Cole said, Packers fans travel extremely well. It's Jacksonville. No one from Jacksonville is going to go to that game. So I think the Packers are going to have a field day. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm thinking like 35-17, 35-21, something like that. Barn doors blown open.
I know you said 70 points, but if you actually had to put a number on it,
if I had to put like a realistic number, I think Blaze was pretty close. I think if Kamara gets moving and can run, which I mean he ran over the Packers last year, but I think the Saints will probably get 12, 15, and then the Packers will probably be in the mid to upper 30s. I think Rodgers will probably they'll go up fast. Probably at halftime they'll be up by 2 touchdowns, and then they'll coast the rest of the game.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Lions game. We're going to save the Bears game for last year because they got Sunday Night Football this week. But 49ers at the Lions, and DeAndre Swift is expected to play. Brandon Ayuk returned to practice. Trey Lance had a splint removed from his injured finger, so he won't be starting this week, but we might see a little bit of him. And then Dee Ford is also expected to see limited snaps. He's not a full go this game, but yeah, that Lions offensive line is still going to have a handful here. The thing that scares me the most about this game is Nick Bosa versus Penei Sewell. I think that, Bosa, he obviously was injured a lot last year, but I don't think he's going to have the kind of rust that we've been seeing. Like Sewell has rust from like transitioning from college to NFL and from left tackle to right tackle. Bosa, I think, is going to come out like hungry this game. I think he'll get a sack or two because I think Sewell still has some, rust to shake off here. So, I think it could be a long day for the Lions, but I actually don't think it's going to be a complete beatdown. I do think that we're going to keep it within 10. Probably, I would have to guess that 49ers would win by 10 if I had to put a number on it. But, this could be a rough day, for the Lions offensive line. What do you guys think?
You know what? So I'm kind of alluding back to the Vikings-Bengals. I think Dan Campbell's gonna come out here and just use every bag of trickery in his book to get his team, with the fighting chance. I'm looking last year when the only game that the Jaguars won was Week 1 against the playoff team Colts, because they put their whole heart and soul into one game. They put 60 minutes into it. And I don't know if the Lions have the talent to actually win this, but I'm thinking less than a touchdown. I think Goff has something to prove. I think this wide receiver unit has something to prove. I think DeAndre Swift is trying to not get on that sophomore slump. And then they got Big Hawk, that can really, do a number against any defense. I know the 49ers defense is really, really good when healthy, and they were out like 31 players last year. So everyone's expecting big things from them. I think it's going to be different. I think the Niners are the better team, and that talent's going to win out at the end. But I think the Lions are going to give them the old 1-2, put them on the ropes at least for a minute there.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I want it to be a good game, but I Dan Campbell, he's either, like you said, going to pull out all of his bag of tricks to try and get, like, if the Lions can win like the very first game, he'll use that to help build the culture and probably make the Lions a better team in the long run. So that's obviously, I think that would be good for them and that team. But I have a fear that Dan Campbell's he's very, like, he comes across as like a meathead, old school type football. And I'm afraid that the 49ers are going to score a touchdown or two, and he's just going to be trying to run the rock the whole time and just like pound it down their throats. And you can't play catch up against the 49ers, especially when you have Goff and a questionable wide receiver core. So they need to come out guns a-blazing and try and slow the game down, score early, and then slow it down a bunch. If they ever get behind, it's gonna be game over. But the 49ers are gonna win it. I think they're gonna win it by like 10 or 14 points, 2 scores at least.
So my big question is, Richard Sherman is gone from the 49ers, so what is their secondary going to look like? That'll be interesting. I don't think, Jared Goff will be able to take full advantage of it, but I don't think Jared Goff will look like complete shit this game. Also because he goes up against, went up against the 49ers twice a year before anyway. I also think the Lions' run defense will improve, but this year, just because we drafted those 2 D tackles in the 2nd and 3rd round, I don't think it will be enough, obviously, to stop Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert. So, yeah, I think 49ers will win by 10, but I think it's going to be a case where they pull away in the end, if I had to make a guess here. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please.
Oh, I thought we were doing scores, or is that?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to do scores? Yeah. Well, if I had to put a number on this game, 23-13 49ers.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, unlike you guys, I think that the Lions are going to be with it in the end. I don't know if they have the magic. I always say the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks are the hardest games to predict. I'm going to say 17-10 in a slugfest, and it's probably going to be like a pick 6 or something for the Niners that seals the deal late in the 4th.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I think I'm gonna do. Lions will get 10 points, and 49ers will have 24.
Okay. Well, on to the Bears at the Rams on Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a huge game. Stafford, first time as a Ram, and he is facing the Bears, who's he's very familiar with. Also, we got Aaron Donald going up against that weak Bears offensive line. Mm-hmm. And, this is going to be really interesting on multiple fronts here. So, Blaze, let's start out with you. What do you think coming into this game?
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts on this game. This game is either going to be the Matt Nagy shining moment, his magnum opus. The Bears are going to drive it down their throats. Mooney's going to beat Ramsey again. A-Rob's going to, destroy that defense. The offensive line's going to toughen up. We're going to run the ball okay. And the defense is going to stop them at least at a couple levels, because that's a very great 3-level offense that the Rams have. The other side.
So what you're telling me is the Bears are going to completely change and reverse their team from what it's been.
Let me tell you, I don't think the Bears are There's a lot of things to worry about the Bears, and I'm getting to my second point. My second point is we could see the Bears where Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald and that whole front 7 of the Rams just unloads on them, and Andy Dalton's going to have the worst headache on Monday morning. The Bears are never good on national TV. They suck at Sunday night. They suck at Monday night. I don't think we have a good record on Thursday night. I do think we have a good enough team, if we can scheme right, to pull this one out. But it's either going to be the Bears by the slimmest of margins, or it's going to be like last year against the Rams, where they just keep beating us to the ground, and it's just going to be me throwing the remote at the TV at the third quarter. There's only two endings for this game.
Well, if I had to actually put a number on it, I think it's just going to be a complete drubbing. I think it's going to be 35-17. This is going to be the start of the Matthew Stafford hype train for MVP. Like, everybody is going to come out after this game and be like, okay, this is real. Like, McVay finally unlocked Stafford and figured out how to, get this guy to win playoff games. Unfortunately, I know the real Matt Stafford, and he usually fails you when it, really matters the most. But I do think he will be there to put up stats, and he will win this game handily, and it's going to be the start of the Matthew Stafford hype train. On top of that, Aaron Donald probably will get like 10 sacks, maybe 10 or 11. No, I'm just kidding. But like probably he'll get 2 or 3, and it's going to be a rough day for the Bears O-line. Cole?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I love your enthusiasm, Blaze. I love your, your excitement. But I don't know how you could possibly think that Nagy could scheme anything that could give them any form of chance to win this game. The Bears are going to lose. They're going to lose bad. Matt Stafford, I've always loved Matt Stafford. He's going on his revenge tour. Rodgers had his last year. This is going to be Matt Stafford's now. I think they're going to throttle the Bears. They're going to pick them apart. And I mean, Donald's going to sack Dalton probably a couple times. I mean, hell, Blaze, you should be excited because if Aaron Donald's fucks up Andy Dalton's life, you might get Fields in sooner rather than later.
I don't know if you listened to last week's episode. I want Dalton to start the first couple weeks.
I know you do, but I'm just saying, the Rams are just gonna have the Bears the whole entire time, and I have no idea why the Bears are on Sunday night. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Because we're the main attraction, baby. We're the jewel of the North.
I mean, if this was Packers versus Rams, it would be just as interesting to me. But yeah,
I got 2 score predictions for this game: Rams 40, Bears 10, or Bears 24, Rams 17. Take your pick. I'm going with the latter. Dub Bears, right. Dalton time, baby.
So my other prediction here is that Dalton's going to get so destroyed this game that they're going to start Fields next week.
Well, aren't we playing Cincinnati? Aren't we playing Cincinnati next week? They got to put him in for the Cincinnati game, right?
Yeah. Hopefully Nagy has some form of brains and we'll put him in. So anyway,
Dalton revenge.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Ohio, on to our fun topic here. What state is worse, Indiana or Ohio? So, I have my opinions about this, but I actually want to start with you guys. Blaze, what do you think?
Ohio is the worst thing that God ever made. I would rather live in Somalia than Ohio. When you think of, they have 5 major cities. Each one sucks more than the next. Okay, Cincinnati. What the fuck is in Cincinnati? This is the first time I've sworn this podcast. What the fuck is in Cincinnati? I could drive by it, blink, and didn't even know I was there. Cleveland is the most rundown, dirty city I've ever seen in my life, outside of Detroit. And downtown. I've been downtown Cleveland. I saw all 2 people in Cleveland. It was awesome. You go with the classic quip of the most astronauts are from Ohio because they'd rather be in fucking space than down in Ohio. It is the turd of the union, and I'm sorry that, let's put in Puerto Rico. Ohio, you had your chance. Oh yeah, screw the Buckeyes. Screw the Cleveland Indians or the Guardians or whatever you want to call them. The Browns are an awful, ugly organization. What's your color? Brown. What's your name? Bingo, you got it. Listen, I could talk about this for 9 years. Cole, I'm going to tag you in for once, brother. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Ohio is a shithole and absolutely just a disgusting state. I don't know why anyone ever goes there. The only time I ever go there is when I have to drive through that piece of shit. The fucking Bengals have an outdoor practice facility. The poor guys have to practice outside all the time. They can't even afford their own, practice facility. Indiana is not that bad. It's not a great state by any means. I'm not saying that, but Ohio is just full of just a bunch of shitheads. They're running around yelling about Buckeyes and thinking they're hot shit and all that stuff. I don't know. They just drive me crazy. I once funded a Kickstarter. I'm still waiting for for it to come back, but I tried to fund it. Basically flood Ohio and turn Cleveland into the world's largest water park. And I thought that was probably the only useful thing that I've ever heard about Ohio is just fucking flood it, turn the city into a water park, and have a good time. That's the only thing I could think of.
So I used to hate Ohio, and driving through there was the fucking worst. There was one time I specifically did not stop at any bathroom there, except for one bathroom where I took a shit in the urinal, and then I just drove right to Pennsylvania. But
Okay.
in my
Ohio turned you
in my older age
turned
here,
you into a criminal.
in my older age here, I've actually come to realize that Indiana is fucking worse than Ohio. Like, both of them are just complete flatlands for most of the state, except Ohio. If you go to the southeast part of Ohio, there's a place called Hocking Hills, and it leads right up to West Virginia, and it's actually at the foothills of the Appalachians, and it's actually really beautiful there. And I mean, Cincinnati, Cleveland, they seem like just your very average, mediocre cities. Cleveland's more like, that Rust Belt, gritty city, obviously. But actually, I don't mind Cleveland. I've stopped there before, in my older age, where I've gotten over taking shits in urinals, and I actually kind of liked it. So that's just me. But, Indiana is, everything you think is the worst about Ohio, all that fucking farmland, flatland everywhere. And it's just like that all around Indianapolis. Indianapolis is the one cultural hub, I guess, if you consider Bloomington another cultural hub. Maybe I don't know if you're a fucking idiot or something, but Indianapolis is just the one place, I guess. And besides that, I've been to 2 concerts in Indiana at Noblesville. Back in my days when I was a Fish fan and a Grateful Dead fan, and I still kind of am. I went to Dead & Co. there, and I went to Fish there. And yeah, obviously that whole city just turns into a drug haven. And they, obviously they come in, they push out the townies, and it made it kind of fun for a second. But then I had to drive back out of that piece of shit, and I just wanted to crash my car into a cornfield. I fucking hated that whole state, and I don't it's worse than Ohio, in my opinion.
Nah, Indiana's got the Big Ten championship, man. They play that every year. They used to have the draft. They have, March Madness. Indiana's got some good stuff. Indianapolis is a cool city. Ohio
South Bend is there.
Yeah. Also, from what you told
my
me,
family helped the South Shore Country Club, which is north of Hammond, Indiana.
No one cares.
I know. I don't even care about my family.
But Eric, your argument for Ohio being beautiful was, hey,
southeast,
if you go to
southeast
the
Ohio.
very southeast point where it's basically in West Virginia in the mountains, it's not that bad looking. It's as far away from normal Ohio as possible.
Indiana doesn't have any of that.
This place,
Indiana has zero of that. That's Ohio has that little smidget that puts it slightly above Indiana, in my opinion. And also my other, my main experience with going through Indiana is driving to Chicago, and going through Gary, Indiana, and Michigan City.
Oh, I forgot about Gary. Oh,
Gary is
Gary, Indiana.
I
rough.
forgot
Also.
about Gary.
It just
Wait, time out. Can I change my opinion?
it just smells I don't know. Somebody decided to melt a bunch of steel and then take a shit on top of it.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I forgot about
Gary, Indiana is, it's a cool city in the fact that they used to be the murder capital of the U.S. until the mayor put up signs that said, "Welcome to Gary, Indiana, the murder capital of the U.S." And guess what? The murder rates went down. He's a smart man. Think about it.
Michael
Ohio would
Jackson's
never do
from
that.
Gary, Indiana. Did you know that? I
No,
mean,
didn't, but
that
sounds
city-
a lot better than Ohio.
that city gave birth to that pedophile, so, there you go. But,
See, the thing is, isn't there a Sandusky, Ohio, though?
yeah, I mean,
That's yeah, there is.
and Toledo is pretty, they're, the big story about Michigan versus Ohio, there was a war or whatever, and then we got the UP and they got Toledo, and, just whoa, that's pretty awesome. But,
Who's the real winner there?
Yeah, Ohio.
Yeah.
Fucking Toledo. It's
Yeah.
a
Dude,
fucking
and
shithole.
the other thing that you got to think about Ohio, not to get political, but it seems like every year those 5-person shanty towns pick our president every year. It's every year they're like, oh, this bumfuckville, Iowa, everyone's waiting for their final 2,000 vote to come in to see who wins that stupid precinct. Because coal has been not around for 50 fucking years because we don't need coal anymore.
well, yeah, I mean, my final vote's Indiana, but if you guys want to stick to Ohio, I understand. So.
Yeah, I'm all in on Ohio.
Ohio for sure.
Ohio. All right. I tried convincing you guys, but, we'll go from there.
You gave it your best effort. The college try was there.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the last segment of our podcast here, we have a fantasy draft now where we draft only NFC North football players, and we do a snake draft. We pick one QB, one wide receiver, one running back, one tight end, and one defense. And I guess I'll start here. I started second in the draft, or I drafted second in the draft. I was able to get Aaron Jones with my first pick, and unbelievably, Blaze picked DeAndre Swift and then TJ Hawkinson instead of picking Devontae Adams. And so my team now fills out as Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan, Jared Goff, because I kind of got the short end of the stick there, and the Minnesota D, who I think they'll get a pick, at least a pick or two against Burrow. So I like my team. Cole, what do you think about your team?
Yeah, I mean, your team is definitely not the worst in our group. It's the second. Mine is obviously the best. I started off first because we started with the, youngest to oldest and, hottest to nottest. I started off with Dalvin Cook, so I got the best running back. I mean, him and Aaron Jones are very, depending on the week, I think we'll have very similar stat lines. I got Jefferson as my wide receiver. I got Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback. And I got Jimmy Graham as my tight end, and then the Packers D. I think really the Jimmy Graham, not the best tight end, but there's not very many. It's pretty slim pickings, but I figured he might be a little safety net for Andy Dalton while Aaron Donald is bearing down on him. He's just going to be dumping it off to him as much as possible. And then the Packers defense, I picked them because I think, when Jameis Winston starting his first game, he might throw, 4 or 5 picks. You never know with Jameis. He got LASIK, so he might be able to see better, but I think that Packers defense is going to eat on the Saints and get me some good points. And then Rodgers is going to throw for 5 touchdowns.
So, Blaze, what was your impetus here to pick TJ Hawkinson over Devontae Adams?
Listen, guys, it's called 4D chess. All right, we're not playing 1 week. We're playing 1 season of this. So
We redraft every week. I don't.
Yeah,
God forbid I make a couple dumb mistakes this week. You know what? That sets me up for pick number 1 next week. No, I literally I hate the Packers so much. I forgot Adams existed. So my big ticket team, we got DeAndre, get swifty with it. Big cock hawk. Kirk, make out with your cousins. A-Rob, and the Bears' vaunted defense. I think, like I said before, I think DeAndre Swift is not going to have his sophomore slump this year. I think he is, in normal fantasy, he's going to be either a really high RB2, maybe even a low RB1. TJ Hawkinson's, obviously, he could end up being easily top 5 type tight end, and just because how much reliance they need on him, he could be 1 or 2 when it comes to the end of the season. And I got Kirk Cousins, who's got the Bengals defense. Again, gonna be a shootout, so he's gonna, get his in, especially with the weapons that he has. Dalvin Cook can catch, Jefferson can catch, Thielen can catch. Money in the Bank. He's going to be the QB1 out of us three this year or this week. A-Rob, man, Ramsey, it's time for him to shut up. And he's just going to get owned, especially by Darnell Mooney and A-Rob. We'll see which one does better. But, I mean, we're thinking, 3 touchdowns between them at least. You guys are laughing. And then there's the Bears defense. Yes, they are a thing. They had a great front seven. Time for the cornerbacks to figure out who they are. The safeties to figure out who they are. And, they're going to pull it out. They're going to at least 2 picks and a fumble, and 10 points.
So,
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we are redrafting every week, by the way. But yeah, like this week specifically, I do just like all the Packers here. I like Aaron Jones. I like Devontae Adams. I like Tunyon. I think, I mean, they could all get a touchdown easily. And Jared Goff, I kind of got stuck with him against the 49ers. But like I was saying, I don't think it's going to be like a complete wrecking of the Lions this week, just because I don't know. I think that the 49ers will have they need to figure out exactly who they're going to be this year. And I also think Richard Sherman leaving that secondary, it could make a bit of a change on that 49ers defense. So Minnesota, I just think that they will get a few turnovers against the Bengals, especially Burrow back in his first game since injury. So, yeah, I kind of like my team this week.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's gonna be a lot closer than Cole thinks.
I think my team will probably be good. We'll win, but I like Jared Goff over Dalton. I think that was the right pick because I think Dalton's gonna. He's really gonna struggle against the Rams. You got Ramsey, so he's throwing against Ramsey. So you got Ramsey on the other side. You got Donald.
Dude, it's been 3 weeks. We could have Johnny Unitas in his prime, and you'd be like, he's getting destroyed. Go ahead.
I don't trust. Okay, Bears offense last year under Nagy was ranked 30th. They were trash.
We had Foles and Trubisky.
Foles won a Super Bowl.
And Monty was a top 10 running back in the latter half of the year. You don't know what you're talking about because you're a Packers fan. You just talk trash. And now next week, I'm coming in swinging. I'm coming in hot when the Bears win on Sunday night. We're going to have to record on Monday. I'm going to be just so amped.
I'm excited for you to come up, show up hungover and depressed from just getting throttled all weekend.
Yeah, man, you're going to take a lot of L's this week. I feel sorry for you, Blaze. That PBR tattoo, you might have to cut that open and start drinking from it. So, well, I think we're gonna have a shorter episode this week since we are not recapping anything from last week and we're just previewing the next week. But that is completely fine.
Not much left to talk about, but yeah, next week we'll be back at it.
Yeah, and we'll be recapping each week and previewing the next week. So, and you can also hear us be complete dickheads to. Innocent states like Indiana and Ohio. So, yeah.
That's a fun subject.
They know what they did. They're not innocent. They know what the fuck they did.
We've got at least a full season of which state is better.
We should start taking mailbags and calls from Indiana and Ohio, and just them arguing which one's worse or something. Or just the reactions to our segment.
Well, for Eastern Ohio, do they still have landlines, or I don't know how they communicate?
Hey, AJ Hawk, I know you're out there somewhere in Ohio. If you want to call in, we'll make it happen. We'll let you call it, AJ Hawk. Just, we're willing to do that for you.
I definitely won't. I think AJ Hawk, lick my ass. All right. So on to the next one.
Whoa.
On that note.
All right. Well, I will see you guys next week. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
All right, boys. Have a great week.
Bye.